You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
AfterBuzz TV presents Chatting with Cathy. Sit-down interviews with Hollywood's leading actors, artists, and entrepreneurs. And now, your host of Chatting with Cathy, Cathy Kelly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chatting with Cathy right here on AfterBuzzTV.com. Today, we are joined by one of the regulars on Season 2 of Devious Maids, Dominic Adams. Dominic, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Cathy.
So on this show, we break down from the very beginning. I want to talk about how you got your start in acting, everything before you started taping Devious Maids. So let's bring it back. Where'd you grow up? You grew up in Bristol?
I am from Bristol, which is a phenomenal city in the southwest of England, like an hour and a half from London. So Bristol born and raised. And I started acting. I did my first play, I think, when I was 13.
13? What made you get involved?
To be honest, I was getting in trouble for being kind of obnoxious, I guess, in class and wanting to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, what better way to do that and demand that people pay attention to me and not get told off for it than by acting and doing a play. So that's what I did, and people kind of responded. Hey, you're not too bad at this. So I thought, this seems like it's for me.
What was the first play you did?
The first play I did was a play called Our Day Out by Willie Russell. Willie Russell wrote Blood Brothers, which is a pretty big, it's been on Broadway for a long time. Yeah. This was another play that he did that had music in it. So I had to perform a couple of musical numbers.
Are you a good singer?
I'm not too sure. You'll have to ask people. I love music. My voice is kind of distinctive. So my singing style is niche.
Yeah.
Joe Cocker-esque.
So what was family life like growing up? Did you have anyone in your family also involved in acting at all? No,
absolutely not. Growing up, I'm very fortunate that I've got a large family, and everyone is pretty much in Bristol. I'm actually a mix of bloods, so English born and raised, and my mother's English. My father is Persian. He's from Iran. So, fortunate to have a lot of them in Bristol, and very loving and supportive. But no artists or creatives per se. In my family.
How many siblings do you have?
I've got a couple. I've got a sister. Who's 20. And she's divine and lovely. And then I have some babies. I have brothers.
I thought you had some babies.
No, I don't have babies. Not that I know of. I have. Well, I'm just saying. There might be some out there. Joke. I have a brother who's 10. And a brother who's 4.
4? Wow. 4. How is that age gap? Like, do you feel like you relate more to your sister than the younger kids?
I mean, I think so. I love my brothers unconditionally, and I have to be honest. When my parents separated, and my dad thinks he's 35, and when he said he was going to have my 10-year-old brother, I was kind of a little bit put out.
Yeah.
Because I was worried it was going to be a 17-year age gap.
Yeah.
It seemed like a bit of an issue, but then when he arrived, what am I going to do apart from love this little boy?
Yeah.
And then when I had a 4-year-old, which is now 4, I was like, Dad, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, he could be your child.
He could be my son. And I love kids. I really do. So the 4-year-old is just the most smart, on the ball, exciting, funny little person I know. So I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is that element of a slightly different dynamic than just a normal brother relationship, because, you know, I do have that slight paternal responsibility, and will do more so in the future, I think.
Yeah, I'm the same way, where my youngest brother is 13 years older than me. So there is, I mean, it's crazy to see these families these days where you have siblings who are almost different generations.
Yeah.
So do they all live in Bristol still, or?
They're all in Bristol.
Okay.
Everyone's there, which was a great, you know, I meet so many people now who have family all over the place. You know, I meet people in LA, and they're obviously not from LA. Who in LA is from LA? I don't know where they go. Is there like some underground camp, or some maybe it's Ohio?
They disappear and you never hear from them again. That's what happens.
Because I haven't met one. And I've been in LA for a while.
Yeah.
But no, you know, I speak to people here, and it's like they have family in Seattle, or they have family in New York, or they have family in Ohio, or wherever it may be. So I was very fortunate to have a real strong base of a lot of family members in one place.
Yeah.
And Bristol's not that big, so.
How often do you get to go home?
I was last back there for Christmas, Christmas and New Year.
And is it just a huge family get-together?
Yeah, there's a lot of us, and I love it. And I think since I've moved away, you know, I've really come to appreciate the squabbling and arguing and the drama. You know, I kind of sit there now and just absorb it.
You miss it.
I do. I do. It's made me really realize the value of it.
Yeah. Sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder.
It does.
So what did they think about you moving out here?
Well, I wanted to come when I was like 18.
Okay.
I was like, I finished before I went to drama school. You know, I finished my studies. And I was like, I want to go to LA. And they're like, you can't go to LA, you're 18. I'm like, so? No. So they, you know, it got put off a few years. But I think parents especially, you know, always want what's best for their children and what they think is best. And acting is such a bizarre thing to do for a job. It's you know, for parents to understand that is very difficult.
Yeah.
And
unless
even
they're
when
in the industry.
Well, yeah, unless they're in the industry. And then you might be a slightly different individual if your parents are have raised you in the Hollywood machine.
What do you really think?
Yeah, well, let's be honest. So they were a bit, you know, hesitant. They wanted to know. I think parents want stability.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing for their children. They want, they want you to be in a path where there's a very definite ladder. Once you do this and this, you can achieve this, and then you're going to be successful by doing. And that's the complete antithesis of acting and this industry. Did they have a different idea for what they wanted you to do as a career? Yes. My dad wanted me to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And I kind of flirted with the idea for a while. I always liked arguing. And I liked having a large and extensive vocabulary. So I thought, okay. But then when I realized the hours and hours of strenuous, boring reading that is involved, and, you know, pretty much from, I'd say, 15, 16, I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
You could play a lawyer on TV.
I'd love to. I'd love to. Yes. So if anyone sees me as an ideal lawyer, let me know, real or fake. I'd try it at least for a day.
What did your mom want you to do?
I don't think she had a specific. I don't think she had a specific. Oh, you should be a veterinarian. She just, again, same thing, wanted me to, you know, I need you to be doing something that provides that kind of stability. And even when you're working, you know, it never really you're working, and then they're like, well, what job are you doing next? I don't know. Yeah. Give me a chance. I've got to get it. Let me get the job first. But, you know, I don't think that ever really goes away until you're Leonardo DiCaprio. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's just the way the industry runs. Yeah. So you started acting when you were 13. Was there a definitive moment when you realized that's what you wanted to pursue as a career? I think, when I was around 15 or 16, I'd really been quite serious about diving in and learning what acting is, and learning about the practitioners who had helped evolve acting into as what we know it now, with likes of Brecht and Stanislavski and Grotowski and all these guys. And I was so serious about it. I thought, this really is. I really want to continue learning about this.
Yeah.
And learn. And in doing so, I was learning about myself, and that's kind of what I view acting as. It's the more you learn, you're learning new colors and shades and sides of who you are as an individual, and hopefully showing that in your work. And that's kind of the view I take of acting. And I think around 15, 16, I started to think, gosh, this is what I have to do. I have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of actors, that kind of is the pull. It becomes vocational. They call vocational jobs normally being a doctor or being a vet or being a lawyer maybe. But, if you feel like you can't do anything else, I have to do this or I'm going to die. And that's that's how I started to feel about acting.
Yeah. And I know you're classically trained. When you moved here, did you still continue to do acting classes, or was that just you felt as though you had already done that?
Well, I got here and I'd come off of probably 7 years of continuous training. Through I did a thing called National Youth Theatre in England, which is where they take the top 15 to 19-year-olds in the country, and they workshop them, and they have you working with great theatre directors and really wonderful people. It's a great program.
A lot of people have come out of that, right?
Yeah, lots of people have gone through National Youth Theatre, and you have to audition, and it's a very small. They only take a few people. So I did that, and then I went to university, studied drama, then I went to drama school. So I came here, with having completed a lot of years, but you never stop learning.
Yeah.
And I understand only a fraction of what I will by the time I'm 40, 50, 60. You never stop. So I found someone here that I'd worked with, a guy named Cameron Thor, and he has a studio called Carter Thor, to help people understand what I'm saying.
Can you do an American accent?
I do it a lot.
Okay.
I do it a lot. It's nice on the show, on Devious Maids, I'm English.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to jump back into that. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make sure I sound English. I can't let the odd American pronunciation slip in.
Yeah.
So actually, bizarrely, I had to concentrate a little bit at first just to make sure that I was being my normal self, rather than allowing the Americanisms to seep in. But yeah, so I worked with those guys for a bit, and they're great. And then I like to keep my creative juices flowing. So if I have the time and I'm free, I'll definitely bounce around and keep that stuff going.
So when you moved out here, what was the transition like for you? Did you know people out here?
I didn't know anybody.
Really?
The first time I came to LA, I knew not a soul.
Wow.
Didn't know anything about LA, didn't really, my people back in England didn't really want me to come. I was just like, I'm going. I know what I want to do, and and the sort of the kind of TV and the kind of movies I want to do are out in Los Angeles. That's where it seems like the opportunities are. I'm going. So I got here and just had to kind of hustle to make it happen.
Yeah.
To get to know people see what I do. I did a couple of plays, so people could see live what it is that I do and who I am. And slowly, gradually, I started to build my network.
What was the reaction like from everyone back home when you said, okay, I'm doing it, I'm moving?
I mean, it's I think generally I've been a bit of a risk taker in life. So there's been a lot of times where I've done things and gone places and the family thought, oh God, not again.
Yeah.
But they understood that it's my passion and I think they would have liked me to stay closer to home so they could see me more, but they totally understood why I was coming here.
Yeah. Do you remember your first audition once you moved out here?
I do actually.
Okay,
I do
what was
remember
it?
my first audition. It was for Nikita, CW.
Okay.
It was for a series regular on Nikita, and I was horrible. I was horrible. Yeah, I remember. I got here thinking that my American accent was great. And I think I went in, this was American, I went in and everyone else was really suited for the role. And I had kind of taken a bit more casual approach to my dress. So I thought that, I got there and I was in the waiting room and I was looking at all these people in the suit. I was thinking, oh no, okay, maybe it's slightly different in England. And yeah, I was horrible. I didn't get the role, and I don't think I've ever been into that casting office since. A joke. They're great. Yeah, that was the first audition, and that was mainly because of the lovely Laurie Openden, who is the head of casting at CW.
Okay.
She'd actually come to see one of the plays that I did, and from that, I started to get people, hey, come in and do this, do that, blah 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 blah. So.
What was the first thing you booked?
The first thing was, let me think, gosh, the first thing.
Or how long was it from moving out here until you booked something?
I would say maybe 5 months.
Okay.
5 months, 6 months. There's a big adjustment period, especially I think for a European. I think for many American coming to LA from anywhere else, LA's unlike anywhere else, and it does take a bit of time to adjust. Where are you from?
I'm from Chicago.
You're from Chicago.
Yeah.
Did you find that?
It does take a while to settle in, and
Yeah.
I feel like once you do, it takes, a couple months. There are people who get off the plane and book something the next day.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of people I've noticed in the industry who it takes years to book their first thing. And then once that happens, it just gets the ball rolling and their career takes off.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think one, it takes some time to adjust to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, things were just a bit different.
Yeah.
The whole process of auditioning and dealing with casting directors it seems different to England.
Yeah.
And I think
How so?
I think it's a bit more. So I'd never really sides, for an example.
Yeah.
When I got here, I'd go into auditions without taking my sides in. I've memorized it. I've done my work. I'll go in without my sides, and I'm going to give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it is more so in England. And then I started to learn, everyone always has their sides here, and it's kind of seems a little bit more informal in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's like, we understand he's not giving us the final performance because it's only an audition, so he's still so it's not like, it kind of gives casting directors or directors the idea that we realize this isn't the finished article because it's just an audition, hence why you're still holding your sides, and sometimes you refer to them. I'd kind of come from this, all of your lines and you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a different, and also I think even like into as far as costumes concerned, maybe more so in England and Europe, it doesn't matter so much what you're gonna be wearing when you turn up and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, I think more so people, so I'm playing a lawyer,
They'll
so
go
I'm
in as
going
the
to wear
character.
a tie and I'm going to wear a suit and
Glasses
I'm going to make
to
sure,
look
I'm going to put
smarter.
glasses on. Whereas maybe for that same thing in England, you'd just wear a Henley and a pair of jeans and whatever. So there's just small differences.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Romancing the Joan. How did you get involved in that? For people that don't know what it is, explain it.
Well, it's the lovely, incomparable, individual, fascinating, satirical Joan Rivers.
Yes.
And the concept of that was a spoof, a take on something like The Bachelor.
Yes.
Which obviously is so popular here, much to my bemusement. I mean, I've tried to watch it.
You don't like it?
I tried. I made maybe
It's more
about
of a female show, their demographic.
I know straight men that are addicted to The Bachelor.
I host an after show with 2 straight men for The Bachelor.
And they love it. And I know a husband and wife, and they're and I tried one time. I was like, guys, I'm not sure. I don't think I can. I'm gonna. Is there a book? I need to read something after watching this for 10 minutes. Give me, please. Have you got any Joseph Campbell something? I need to read it. But yeah, it was basically a spoof on that, a take on that, with Joan filling the role of the Bachelor. So it was so much fun. She's an incredible lady. I mean, at her age, 32. She
doesn't look a day over 31.
She does not look a day over 31. No, she's wonderful, and the energy and vitality. It just knocked me for 6. Her work ethic and how sharp she is. She's totally on the ball. And at her age, you know, she could just be putting her feet up and chilling somewhere in Florida. Isn't that what a lot of people do at her age? But she's, you know, grinding, traveling, working so hard. And it was a real inspiration to me, actually.
How much interaction did you have with her?
A lot. So, it was an idea that we would have situations where we're trying to impress her, much like I guess they do on shows like The Bachelor. So we're playing Twister, 10 guys in tank tops.
What was your name on the show?
I was Red Velvet Randy. Sweet and decadent.
And everyone had these crazy names.
Yeah, everyone, it was a real spoof, and it was so much fun. And we got to do a lot of improvisation with Joan, because she's this quick fire, rapid biting comments that she's famous for.
Did you have an improv background before that, or?
I've done improv. I've run the whole gamut.
Yeah.
From, like I said, from Stanislavski and stuff to Meisner to Strasbourg. We've touched on everything. Shakespeare, way back. So yeah, I've done a lot of improvisational stuff before, but you can only learn from being around comic minds and comics as sharp as someone like Joan Rivers. So overall, that was just a real fun, silly, crazy thing to be part of. I enjoyed it.
What was the biggest thing you think you took away from meeting her or from being involved in that production?
Again, I think, as I mentioned, her work ethic.
Yeah.
And just the fact that after being in showbiz for nearly 45, 50 years, that she can still remain as focused and hardworking as she is.
Yeah.
That to me really was a huge, I came away just thinking, wow, to sustain that drive.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
So I want to talk about Devious Maids. What was the audition process like for that?
Well, I went in a couple of times, and I finally met with Mark Cherry and his fellow producing partner Sabrina Wind, and got on really well with them.
Yeah.
It was kind of informal, actually. After a while, after we'd done some auditioning, and they'd seen what I could do. I pulled up a chair and we just started having a chat.
Yeah.
And really got on. I really liked Mark, really liked Sabrina too. And then after that, we obviously have to get networks and studios involved. So then we tested on the show, and I actually tested, which is the term where you're basically doing a screen test.
Yeah.
And you have a room full of writers and studio executives and Mark and directors, full room of people, and you're going and having to do your auditions all over again on a stage. It's very bizarre, being filmed by multiple cameras. So I did that and left and was like, thank God that's over. It's very stressful for any actor.
Yeah.
A test. I then got a call. We think we need to test you again.
What?
I'm like, no, what? We think we need to test you again. We want to see a clean-shaven, kind of hair swept, slightly more clean-cut look, and in a suit, and see how we go with that. So I had to go back again. So that was a bit intense, you know, to have to test twice.
But it's also good news that they're still considering you.
Yeah. Well, I got that news and I was like, great. Well,
Yeah.
it means obviously that I've done something right.
Yeah.
For once. And yeah, I then obviously got the role, and we decided, or the studio, they decided they actually preferred a slightly more
Scruffy.
beardy, weirdy look.
Beardy weirdy?
Beardy weird. I don't know. I just made it up.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of weird too. So it's apt. But yeah. So that's what we went with, and I was really happy. And that was in just before Christmas.
Okay.
So I found out. I jumped on a plane 3 days later back to England for Christmas. So it was great news to go back and tell the family and relax for a few weeks in England before I flew back to LA, and then 4 days later jumped straight on a plane to Atlanta. Cool. So yeah, it was a really great Christmas present.
Yeah. And Devious Maids, it's set in Los Angeles, but filmed in Atlanta.
Yes.
How is working on location?
It's great. I mean, Atlanta's a really cool city. Really diverse, really vibrant, so much going on. I mean, so many things filmed there now.
Yeah.
You know, from Walking Dead to Vampire Diaries to Drop Dead Diva to Hunger Games, Fast and Furious, Dumb and Dumber just wrapped there. There is so much going on that it's very palpable.
Yeah.
You feel it in the city, you know, and there's always a lot of actors and a lot of crews there. So it's a good place to be. And I'd never been to the South before, so it was a real introduction to Southern hospitality and food for me.
Did you have an idea of what the South would be like before you went there?
I mean, my idea was kind of Outcast, Ludacris, Usher. That was my that or gas stations in the middle of nowhere with tumbleweed blowing and people looking at you suspiciously out of the corner of their eye with a shotgun. That was.
And you encountered a lot of that, right?
Oh, so much of that. No, it's been really great. I've really enjoyed my time.
Yeah.
My time in the South. And it's true, you know, there really is the Southern hospitality. People are very kind and very warm. I like it.
Yeah. And Devious Maids, it had a wildly successful first season. Yeah. Were you nervous at all coming into an already established show?
Excited. There's always a bit of apprehension around the idea that when you're joining something, there may be cliques or factions that are formed, and sort of no one's going to talk to you, and you're going to feel like the ugly stepchild. But there was none of that. Yeah. Everyone welcomed me with open arms, and the ladies are lovely, very gracious and wonderful. And I kind of settled in really, really quickly.
Yeah. It is a very female-centric cast. Yes. So how is that for you?
Great. Like I said, they're all in their own ways, you know, you've got these feisty, sassy, independent, strong women, and that's what Mark Cherry shows tend to represent. You know, that's the crux, the meat and drink of the show. You know, with Desperate Housewives, it was obviously the same. And then we turn up, and we kind of get beaten up a bit. Yeah. You know, the guys, we kind of get beaten up a bit because these ladies dominate. Yeah. So it's been a pleasure. How can it not be, working with, you know, being involved in a show with the likes of Rosalind Sanchez and Judy Reyes and Eddie Gannam, who's very, very sweet, Anna Ortiz, who's lovely. And then, you know, we have Susan Lucci, Institution. So it's a really, you know, I'm very grateful, and it's a good thing to be involved in. And I've always liked female company. Yeah. Love my mother, you know, very close with my mum. And yeah, I've always been comfortable in female company. Yeah. So it's been a delight.
Speaking of ladies, Eva Longoria, she came on to direct. How many episodes this season?
She directed the premiere. Okay. Which is on this Sunday at 10 p.m. on Lifetime. Yes. And she is she's fantastic. I love Eva.
Do you think she fit into that role well, the directing role?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And that's kind of again, we spoke earlier about what do you take away from things. What I took away from her was she directing a show is a very demanding and full job. You know, you are leading.
Yeah.
You are there on set in control of everything. You're what people look to for direction, from the actors to the electrical crew to the director of photography. She just ran with it. She worked incredibly hard, and it's not glamorous. You know, it's not. She worked incredibly hard, was very focused. I was just struck by how hard she worked and how much she put into it. Really respected it.
Yeah.
You know, she's very grounded and lovely and funny, and sweet. And it was a real pleasure to work with her.
Cool.
And especially as an actor working with a director who's an actor.
They know what you're going through.
Exactly. She's been there. She's been there, and she gets it, and she understands very much that world, especially having been obviously on Desperate Housewives. She gets the world, so she's able to give you notes that are very easy and quick to relate to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if she wanted to direct more, and if she wanted to direct TV, she absolutely could be doing that as much as she wanted.
Cool. So your character, Tony, he is a bodyguard, ex-armed forces, kind of mysterious. What else can you tell us about him?
Just like me, really. We've got very...
You look alike.
Yeah, we do look similar. We're both English. So we share that in common. Yeah, I turn up because there's been a spate of... there's been a bit of a crime spree, a spate of burglaries in Beverly Hills. And Adrian and Evelyn Powell, who two very popular characters from the first season, they feel like they need some extra protection. So they hear about me and my resume, and I've got links to Mossad, the Israeli secret forces, and have looked after some dictators and kept them alive. So yes, he seems like the guy for us. So I come in and make them feel a bit more at ease. Now, the name of the show gives it away, Devious Maids. I obviously have some ulterior motive.
Oh.
And as the season progresses, you shall get to see maybe what it is that I'm really angling for.
Okay.
Because it's obviously not just offering protection. So it's a really fun ride. It's a really fun ride.
What did you have to do to prepare for the role?
I had to go and work for Mossad and look after some... No. It's funny because I've actually known a lot of these people in real life.
Okay.
I've known a lot of private security and I've seen it in Europe, actually. So I've known these people. So it was fun when I got this, that I could be like, oh, well, I remember so-and-so doing this and so-and-so doing that. And I remember being with this person when we had their whole team of security with us. And so I really had a lot of personal experience.
You channel that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was there any, did you have to do any stunts?
Yeah, I've had to hit a couple of people.
Okay. Is that fun?
It's always good. It's always good when you can hit someone and then actually not get in trouble or really hurt them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had to hit a few people. Nothing too crazy as of yet, but we're still filming. So who knows what I've got in store. There's a few more episodes left in the season to film. So
how far along are you in filming this season?
We are just wrapping up on episode 9.
Okay.
So we have 4 more to shoot.
Cool.
And it's crazy because last year the first season started way after they'd finished filming. So this year we obviously premiere on Sunday and we're still filming.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an unusual. It's a weird thing for an actor when you're like, oh gosh, I have to watch myself when you're still filming it. But yeah, everyone's pretty excited.
Do you critique yourself a lot, or are you the type that can watch yourself, or you try to stay away from that?
I don't really like looking at my face. And on this, and on Devious, it's not just my face I have to be looking at because the shirt comes off, the pants come off.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do you hook
up
with on this
season? At my
season?
request.
Oh, okay.
It was at my behest. I was like, do I have to wear clothes in the scene? No. So that's, you know, that's always a really difficult thing to look at.
Are your parents going to watch?
Yes. They'll be watching. There's nothing.
The whole family can gather around and just watch.
Absolutely. The 4-year-olds, the 10-year-olds. There's nothing too salacious or saucy.
Yeah.
You know, it's I think with Devious, there's always the underlying. It's fun. It's a fun, fun, entertaining show. And I think in terms of skin and nudity and sex scenes or anything like that, it's always done with a slight nod and a wink.
Yeah.
Rather than a sort of a hardcore, crazy element to it. So it's fine. But for me to look at, yeah, it's like, gosh, do I go to the gym? How many times a week? Oh no, look at my you can't help but be like that.
Yeah. You have a background in martial arts, right?
Yeah, I've trained a lot.
Okay.
Boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. I love mixed martial arts, which the biggest organization for that is called the UFC, and which has obviously gotten so popular now.
I know what the UFC is.
Yeah, so popular. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's one of the fastest growing sport in the world. And I've been a big fan and follower of that for over 10 years.
What got you involved in doing martial arts?
I've always been very active and fit. I played a lot of soccer, football, as it really should be called. But I'll placate you. Soccer and rugby. I played a lot of too in England, and cricket.
Okay.
Very English sports. And then at the same time, I was always staying active with martial arts stuff. And I'm someone who needs a good punch every now and again.
Okay.
Like it's good for me.
Yeah.
It's good for me to. Oh, Dominic, you're getting a little bit. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to behave myself. So yeah, I've been training for a long time and always, like I said, a big fan of MMA and watch the UFC a lot, and huge respect for the athletes and fighters that do that.
Yeah. Back to Devious Maids, June Squibb is going to have an arc this season.
Amazing.
Did you get to work with her at all?
Amazing. She's there right now.
Okay.
And I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, bummer.
But amazing. I mean, we were all really excited for that. 3 months removed from her Oscar nomination and being at the Oscars, and I don't know if you saw Nebraska, but she was great in it.
So good.
Yeah, so good. So that was really exciting. And what made it even funnier is that she's playing Susan Lucci's mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Playing Susan Lucci's mother. So you have Susan Lucci, who, as we said, is kind of her own institution.
Yeah.
And then you've got June Squibb. So I cannot wait to see that dynamic. I think that's going to be so much fun.
Do you guys have any other guest stars this season?
We do, but I think June definitely takes the biscuit.
The biscuit.
Yeah, she definitely takes the biscuit. But yeah, we've got some great and wonderfully talented actors who come in and help us in terms of the cast.
Yeah. What do you think fans will enjoy most about this season, other than you being shirtless?
Well, I think that's obviously what they're going to enjoy most.
The main draw.
Hashtag Dominic Adams naked. No, I think it's more of the same. We get to be. There's such a freedom on this show that because of the world that again that Mark Cherry creates, this freedom that you just get to be naughty. And it's fun. So I think viewers are going to love just seeing more of that naughty deviousness.
Yeah.
And seeing where that goes in the second season with the characters that are now established and people have their favorites, and getting to see how they misbehave. And that's kind of what it's about.
Yeah.
Seeing these Beverly Hills based characters just misbehaving. And it's kind of a it's satirical. It is holding a mirror up to that ideology of what people in Beverly Hills are like.
Do you think it's realistic at all?
I think there's elements. I think
Yeah.
we'd all be surprised and aghast at some of the things that really go on.
Oh yeah.
Like they really requested llamas to be walked through their house. What? For their part? What? So I think there's definitely elements, and obviously, we're heightened and it's high drama in what we do. But yeah, I hear some stories sometimes of, my friends that work around Rodeo Drive and in certain luxury brands and stuff over there, and some of the stories, just blow your mind.
Yeah. There's some interesting people in LA.
Some very interesting people. And people who have lots of money and want to find interesting ways to spend it.
Yeah. I think you also have to be a little bit crazy to be involved in the industry or want to be involved. Just a little bit.
Yeah, but I think that most creatives and artists, part of what fuels them is this slight insaneness.
Yeah.
This craziness that propagates their artistic flair. And I'm a little bit crazy, and I think a lot of people are. I'm sure you are too. But yes, to be in LA and to be doing this, I mean, what a crazy job! I'm going to walk and get told where to walk. I'm told where to stand, and then I'm going to stand where they tell me, and I'm just going to say lines that I've learnt as somebody else in a mythical situation, a pretend hypothetical situation of someone else's life.
Yeah,
it's so peculiar and so bizarre, and we have to be very thankful that we get to do it.
Yeah,
and always remember that it's not that serious. I take the craft and the work very seriously, but people out there are operating on other people's brains and are saving children's lives, and we always have to remember that, because sometimes things can get taken too seriously.
Yeah,
and we're only human, and we're lucky to do a job that is lots of fun.
Definitely agree with that. Shifting gears a little bit.
Yes, please.
What are some of the other TV shows that you're watching?
Wow. Well, I have very specific favorites.
Okay.
So
Not The Bachelor.
Not The Bachelor. My favorite TV show of all time was The Sopranos.
Okay.
My absolute favorite. Breaking Bad is so close. It runs Sopranos really close. I watched the whole of Breaking Bad in a 5-month period. Watched the whole thing last year.
Wow.
Or through to the beginning of this year, when they showed the last few episodes. So love Breaking Bad. Game of Thrones.
Also a good show.
Did you watch the last episode?
No, so I just started. I'm like catching up. I'm in the middle of season 1 right now,
Okay.
but
It's just, I mean, it's like watching a mini movie every. It's incredible what they've achieved.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was just having this conversation earlier. We get so invested in shows now, and shows have become so they love to throw in these twists and turns and such huge cliffhangers, and that that leave us going, I can't believe that just happened. Why do people want to go on social media and spoil it?
Yeah.
Why? What? Just don't do it. I feel like we're now at a point in 2014 where we know we've become accustomed to, because that is how TV is now. We're so invested in it. House of Cards, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad. People love Scandal. All of these things. We know that it's a kind of an unspoken rule. You don't go and give away plot points.
I think it's
Walking
because
Dead, you don't do it.
People are very social and they want to interact, and they think that that's, one of the ways to do so.
Do you think that's acceptable?
Personally, I don't like spoilers, but I understand it.
I mean, it's fine. Go on and say, can't believe what I saw in Game of Thrones last night. Walking Dead, who would have known? But don't give specifics in my news feed when I wake up in the morning.
Then you're just a jerk.
Yeah, I haven't even, my brain hasn't even kicked into gear. I'm lying in bed just scrolling through Facebook, and here you are ruining it for me.
That's how I
we're
feel
not
about
on
The
the same
Bachelor.
schedule. I haven't watched it yet. So that's kind of a real pet peeve of mine. But going back to what you're saying, you know, we're so fortunate. There's so much great TV right now. You know, it really is the medium at the moment for actors to get to really explore and portray multi-dimensional, layered characters. It kind of really is. They coined the phrase the golden age of television, and this maybe being the second golden age of television. What do you watch?
A lot of stuff.
What's your
I work
favorite?
at AfterBuzz, so I watch
Everything.
like 20 shows a week. It's
Favorite?
crazy. I do The Bachelor. It's my guilty pleasure.
Okay.
It's my guilty pleasure.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Walking Dead, Scandal, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black. Have you watched any of the shows on Netflix yet?
Yeah, I mean, I watched
good.
the first season of Orange is the New Black. Really
So
enjoyed
good.
it. Really liked the lightness.
Yeah.
The lightness of it.
And then I like Arrested Development.
Okay, classic.
Yeah.
Love Arrested
Good.
Development.
Do you have a dream role?
Yeah, I think you know, rather than saying a specific a role that someone else played, for me it's about you know, being an actor, you're in a fortunate position in lots of ways, but in terms of the work, I think it does two things. For me, I want to do roles that I learn more about myself.
Really?
And having to dig deep within myself.
Yeah.
To find new shades and colors of myself for the character means that I finish that project a different person, a more evolved person. And you know, acting's about showing things, showing elements of yourself to the viewer that maybe aren't comfortable, and you don't really want to show things you don't like about yourself, things that are painful to you, and having the courage to do that is a very naked experience, a naked feeling for an actor.
You feel vulnerable.
Exactly, but that's, you know, doing things that make me have to go to those places, and then conversely, what that does, hopefully, for the viewer is if you can be involved in projects that can change people, that really is an amazing thing. And this happens, you know, people go and watch a movie or watch a show and they see things in characters or just things in the storytelling that are so evocative to them of things in their own life that it changes them in a way. In a slight way, it can change them. It can change people.
Did you ever have a moment like that where you saw a movie or a TV show and it changed you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's when I love character-driven, intense, dangerous, naked performances and shows or movies. And when I watch those things, I really, they strike me hard. They make me think, and that's what I want. I want to be made to think. You know, we're in a day and age now sometimes where we don't think. You know, we don't think to the level that maybe we would have before social media was so prevalent, and we're scrolling through feeds and. You know, take that time to really think about what's going on, who we are, how we interact with people. And I think sometimes watching a great show or a great movie gets you to do that, because you walk out of that movie theater thinking, wow, what I just watched struck me because it's similar. I remember when this happened to me, or it's so not the same situation, but similar to a relationship I have with this friend or that friend. And I love when something makes me feel that way. Yeah. But I also like to be uplifted too. You know, I just watched, I've watched it twice, Wes Anderson's Grand Budapest.
I heard that was amazing.
It's so
I love Wes Anderson.
good. I adore it. I adore his world, his universe. And you go and watch something like that, and it's magical, and it's got a fairy tale like quality to it, and it makes you laugh, but it's not overtly in your face funny. It's a sweet, subtle, charming
It makes you think.
humor. It makes you think.
Yeah.
And that is all I can, you know, as a viewer, that's all I can ask for, and then as a performer, as an actor, that's all I can hope to achieve. one day, is to make people think. And if there's the slightest chance that that transforms me, and hopefully maybe can even transform other people in certain ways, you know, that's my goal.
So moving forward, what do you hope to accomplish in both your career and your life?
To be happy, you know. There's people talk about fame, people talk about money, and you know, those things are just byproducts of doing something you love, and for me it is about doing something I love and knowing how fortunate I am to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned, it's got to a point where, you know, I've worked in an office, I've done those things, and I just within me knew if I'm not acting, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. So moving forward, it's about doing things that creatively fulfill me and help me to learn and grow and keep evolving, and things that I can be proud of.
Yeah.
You know, things that I can be proud of and work with people who I am in awe of and have respect for, and by working with them, it only makes me a better actor, a better person, hopefully. So that's kind of, you know, is my goal. It's nothing that's so specific. It's just about doing things that allow me to continue to grow.
Yeah. Is there a specific actor that you hope to work with?
Gosh, I have a couple of people that really, you know, I admire so much and love. For me, it's about, when it comes to working with actors, I like to work with dangerous, risk-taking actors. That's really where I like to excel and where I get most excited. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, God rest his soul, was somebody who inspired me immensely as a young actor. Always from the first time I saw him, just saw so much texture and depth in his work. But you know, unfortunately, never got to do that. I love Tom Hardy. Tom is a phenomenal actor, and again, just brings this intensity and dangerous quality to everything he does. And I think that this feeling of watching people and feeling like they might be on the verge of violence, and I don't mean it literally, but it could be in a scene that's nothing to do with that, but you're watching and you're thinking, gosh, I feel like at any moment this person could just cut loose.
Yeah.
But they're keeping it together, maybe just by a fine line. I love that, and I love people that play with that line, and Tom Hardy does that. Michael Fassbender, also, and Gary Oldman is one of my ultimate icons. So there's you know, a plethora of super talented actors, and Paul Thomas Anderson I would love to work with as a director.
Is there someone in Hollywood whose career you hope to emulate?
There's a lot of people who I respect what they're doing. Christian Bale, you know, has been able to make great choices in terms of the work he's done. Phenomenal actor, and really has a great body of work. So really like what he's done. There's people that really fascinate me, like Kevin Spacey.
And you've worked with Kevin,
I worked
right?
with Kevin, yeah. I've known Kevin for a while. You know, one of the greatest actors of his generation. He's done things his own way. I mean, he won his second Oscar in 2000, having won, you know, he won Best Supporting, I think, in '96, Best Actor in 2000, so two Oscars in 4 years. And then, rather than ride the gravy train and just take roles where he's playing the brother and the advisor and the politician in small roles in movies and just collecting the cash, he stepped away from Hollywood, moved to London, became the artistic director of the Old Vic, and has done so for 11 years. He took 10 years, you know, at the height of, he won his second Oscar, he stepped away, moved to London, and just transformed this incredible theatre with the fundraising and getting it in track to be self-sufficient and sustainable when he leaves, and acted in the plays, has directed, you know. To do that when he did it just takes remarkable resolve and guts and balls. You know, and has now come back with obviously House of Cards, but even then he's done that. He was the first person to pioneer the Netflix. Incredible. I have so much respect for for him and the way he's defined his career with just doing what he wants to do the way he wants to do it.
Has he given you any advice?
Yeah, he gave, you know, when I first met Kevin and we did Telstar, you know, I obviously looked to him very much as someone I admired and always been a huge fan of his work. And yeah, I spoke about, it was before I came to LA, so I spoke to him about LA and about whether that would be the right thing for me, and just trying, you know, just really being a sponge to the knowledge that he could impart and the advice.
Cool. Well, this brings us to our shameless plug section. So
let's do it.
So tell us, where can people see Devious Maids? Tell us about Twitter, Instagram, any of those things.
Okay. Well, Deviousness, the Deviousness returns on Lifetime, Sunday at 10 p.m. So please tune in for that. You're going to love it. It's so much fun. I am on Twitter at I am Dominic Adams. And my Instagram is Dominic_Adams. So please, you know, I like to be silly and do all manner of fun things on social media. So get on there and follow me and watch the show, because I think it's that, you know, you mentioned The Bachelor's built as being your guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Devious Maids is one of those things where you can just kick back, enjoy.
It's a great show.
Laugh about it,
Yeah.
and how ridiculous people are being. And it's a really fun ride in season 2.
Cool.
So I look forward to people getting to experience it.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. You can find us on iTunes. Just type in AfterBuzz TV. You can subscribe to Chatting with Cathy along with the other shows that we do here every single week. You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelly. You can find all of us here on Twitter at AfterBuzz TV. Dominic, thank you so much for coming in today. Such a pleasure. Yeah.
Great fun, and again, I love your dress. It's the same as the microphone head and the cup.
I planned this. I planned it.
Obviously.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.